the sun, toot toot toot. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
The sun has finally arrived after a little bit of a late delivery, but he has arrived. NASCAR went to Watkins Glen, guys. If I spoiled the result for you guys already, I'm sorry, but if you follow NASCAR, you probably should have heard by now that the guy who won the race. Let's talk about the race, and then we'll talk about, obviously, what everyone wants to talk about. So Watkins Glen, I was hoping for a really good race. I was a little bit worried by the stages. I saw 20 laps, and then 50 laps, and I was like, I would like it to go green instead of breaking up into stages and the stages being that short, but the racing took care of itself. So Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr. were the top four cars of the race. They all started up towards the front as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the beginning of the race was hectic. It was unusually hectic. I think it might have been because Denny Hamlin was on pole and he just wasn't as fast as Kyle Busch and Elliott, so it really just kind of backed everyone up, and it was some great racing. Unfortunately for Joey Logano, he had an incident very similar to Pocono last week where he got into the rear bumper of Larson because Larson was checking up due to the checkups in front of him, and Logano would be out of the race from this after the crew chief, Todd Gordon, made a little bit of a mistake with the damage protocol. If we have to complain about something, not going to be much to complain about tonight, but if you want to complain about something, I guess the damage protocol, it kind of sucked that Logano was out of the race. He could have come back in, fixed the oil cooler, and come back into the race, but because the damage protocol, they were put on the clock because of quote-unquote crash damage, and once they went to the garage, it was a done deal. So I kind of wish NASCAR would let teams fix the cars, but then again, on the other flip side of the coin, they don't want damaged debris or flying parts out on the racetrack from damaged race cars. Just kind of sucks that these teams work so hard and they're not allowed to, work on the car to get back in the race. So a little bit frustrating with that, but Logano was out of the race, and a caution came out in turn 7, or I still like to call it turn 11 because that's kind of where, or turn 10, I don't know, I'm not sure what it used to be called, but now it's called turn 7 for some reason because we call it the bus stop and all that nonsense. But Eric Almirola got turned there in turn 7, just kind of came down on Ryan Blaney, didn't really see that he was there. And NASCAR threw a caution for this, which I didn't really agree with, and this would actually come back later in the race to show the two sides of the coin. They threw a caution. I didn't think it was a full course caution because when they did throw it, the field already went by him, but I don't know. It's something that I guess, depending on what the rules are, it's all a judgment call. I just don't think it should have been a caution. I would have liked the race to continue going, but that caution came out. Race restarts. Kyle Busch is in the lead. Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott. The TV coverage was really showing this, and there was not just that battle. If you were watching other onboard cameras, there were a ton of good battles throughout mid-pack and that 10th place area. I know Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Blaney had some good battles as well, but the main battle was really Elliott and Hamlin, and it showcased that Elliott did have a pretty good car. It showcased that he was being very patient, and one thing that I was getting a little bit worried about with Chase at this time was that he was continuously running right behind the 11 of Hamlin, overheating the brakes a little bit, so that probably wasn't going to be too good for the later on in the race. But he was overheating the brakes a tiny bit, had to back off a little bit. And then as the stage goes on, because it's 20 laps, that Sonoma deal, you have to pit with 3 to go. That way you can work the strategy. So the leaders come into pit road, including Kyle Busch, including Denny Hamlin, including Chase Elliott. But Martin Truex Jr. decides to stay out. He wins the stage. Truex loses about 10 to 11 spots because of that strategy. Recycles Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Chase Elliott back up towards the front. And then it'd be the Kyle and Chase show. And Chase was actually able to get around Kyle Busch in stage 2. The strategy here was different, though, because this second stage was also 20 laps. But to make it to the end on fuel, you had to pit with around 34, 33 to go. So the guys were not going to pit this time for the stage. So Chase Elliott goes on to win. Kyle Busch finishes second. And it's really just a two-horse race because Truex lost that track position. But he was able to get back up to, I think, 4th or 5th place. So Truex had the speed. He just had to get the track position back from sacrificing it for that stage win. So Elliott wins stage 2, recycle back around for the stage 3. Those guys stay out on old tires, but pretty much most of the top 10, top 15 is on old tires. Everyone kind of knows that this is the strategy you want to go with if you're running up front. But Kyle Busch is able to get the lead back from Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's trying to fight him back. And during the entire time, I'm telling you, the leaders, there was always a battle for the lead within half a second. It was really impressive. It was probably just a perfect storm of circumstances with Elliott and Busch being very close in speeds of the cars. And I wonder if Harvick and Busch was battling, or if Truex and Busch was battling. I don't think fans would have appreciated it as much, but that does go to show that the driver does matter. I wish it wouldn't, but it does go to show that the driver matters. I think you're going to see an overwhelming positive rating out of this race, and they're going to say it was really awesome for the entire race, even though it was just 2-car battles for the lead, and that's what I enjoy too. I mean, if it was Harvick and Truex, I'd be loving that. But because people are getting kind of annoyed with the big three always dominating, it was refreshing to see Chase Elliott, so people were always rooting for him, and it was definitely an interesting scenario to watch. Lap 55 comes around. This is when you want to pit, but a caution comes out for Matt DiBenedetto blowing the engine in the bus stop. That's when you do have to throw the caution because there's no way to get the car off of the track. So caution comes out, and the strategy is basically gone from here. So you just come down pit road, you fill it up with fuel, 4 tires, and you go on your way. Sounds simple. But this was the big turning point of the race, massive turning point, when Kyle Busch has issues on pit road, can't get the fuel completely full, so he has to come back down pit road, and his race is done. There's no way you're coming back from 35th place all the way to the lead with 30 laps to go, and there's no more pit strategy. It's just not going to happen, even if you are as good as Kyle Busch with a car as good as he was. Wasn't going to happen. Chase Elliott ran over his own pit crew member trying to come out in front of on pit road. Denny Hamlin had an incident with his pit crew members. Hopefully everyone was safe there. I don't know if everyone was good. It seemed like everyone was good, but no official confirmation that I saw, so hopefully everyone's good there. All that mayhem was pretty much out of the way. Kyle Busch goes to the back. Denny Hamlin goes to the back. Remember, Hamlin was a pretty good car. Didn't have what he could have had for Truex, Busch, or Elliott, but it was a decent car. If you put him out in front, he'd be a little bit tough to pass. But with him going to the back, his race is basically done. So for the last 30 laps, and I was hoping there would be no cautions because I wanted to see the race play out naturally. And it did. It was Chase Elliott versus Martin Truex Jr. It was a heck of a battle. They never really got side by side because Truex could never really get to him. And I wonder why. I don't know. Maybe Chase was saving his stuff. Maybe, you know, unless you ask Chase, you don't know. But I think Chase was probably pushing it pretty hard. Truex was obviously pushing it really hard. They were mainly within half a second of each other for the last 15 laps. Back to the beginning of the race, when you saw Eric Almirola spin out of 7, that happened to Jimmy Johnson with around 6 to go. And I thought a caution would come out when I saw the spin for Jimmy Johnson. I saw the smoke. But NASCAR doesn't throw the caution. So that's where I see those two sides of the coins. I see the inconsistency that a lot of people put on NASCAR. If you throw a caution for Almirola, you have to throw a caution for Jimmy. Even though I don't want a caution for either one, you know, I don't want a caution for Almirola, and I don't want a caution for Jimmy, so I'm glad they didn't throw the caution for Jimmy, but they did throw the caution for Almirola. So you see, it's just not consistent. Now, that's just a small complaint. Not going to complain about it too much, but it's just something I'd like to see. What is the definition of a full course caution? What needs to be a full course caution? Because once the caution came out for Almirola, he got back going. So kind of had to throw the caution there for Jimmy as well, but they didn't do it. Back to the lead of the race, Elliott has to show that he's composed, he's cool under pressure, with Truex dogging him down. I don't like using that phrase, dogging him down. I blame Rick Allen for that. He said it. Now I say it. But a few laps to go. Truex is trying to run down Elliott. Truex makes a mistake with 2 to go. I think it was in the carousel. No, it was in the bus stop. Truex makes a mistake in the bus stop. Loses about, I would say, 4 or 5 car lengths. So he ends up being around 0.8 of a second behind Elliott. White flag. It seems like everything's over. We seem like everything's good. But with Chase Elliott, the meme had to continue that little bit longer before it could die. It was that last little jolt of the meme. And entering turn 1, Elliott almost spins it out. He almost wheel hops. He said he had to put it out of gear to not let it to wheel hop and had to get back in front of Truex. Luckily enough, he had just enough of a gap to get back in front of Truex coming out of turn 1. And he's able to hold on for the rest of the lap. And Chase Elliott is finally a NASCAR Cup Series winner. The fans were going crazy. I think it's probably already known that he's going to be the most popular driver. And for the sport of NASCAR, this is what they desperately need. They need him to win. It's kind of sad to say that. You don't want a driver to have to win for the sake of an entire sport, but it's kind of similar to when Tiger wins in golf, or even when he competes. When he's in competition, the ratings are up 40%. So Elliott needs to compete. He needs to be a championship contender. He needs to win races for NASCAR. And as weird as it sounds, if he's competing, fans will stick around. Fans will watch. New fans might watch, become fans of him. He needs to become the superstar that NASCAR needs. And it sucks putting the pressure on him that he has to become a superstar because he's not that personality. He's not the flamboyant superstar-esque personality, somewhat like a Lewis Hamilton. He just goes by his business and tries to win races. So I think you see a lot of people respect that. I have seen talent in Chase Elliott since whenever he came into NASCAR, and you're just waiting for it to showcase itself. Hendrick has not given him good enough cars throughout the majority of his career. However, Chase has thrown away 1 to 2 races in his career, especially that Dover one against Kyle Busch. But he was able to win this race. He was able to maintain his composure for the entire last run at a road course, which is not technically his strength, but he's been showcasing over the last 2 years that he's been better at road course racing. And he won. And it's exactly what NASCAR needed. So here are the race results. Chase Elliott in P1, Martin Truex Jr. in second. And then there is a massive gap, a 20-second gap to third place. It was nuts how fast Elliott, Truex, and Kyle Busch was. And speaking of Kyle Busch, he finishes third. He drove from last to third without any cautions. Absolutely crazy. Daniel Suarez finishes in fourth. Good run for him. He finished third last year at the Glen, so really good for Suarez. I expect him maybe to compete for a win here at a road course soon, and maybe compete for a win somewhere else. You never know, but Suarez had a good couple of runs the last couple of weeks. Eric Jones in fifth. Good run for him. Larson, McMurray, and Byron, 3 Chevys. Maybe Chevy gained something. Chevy looks like they were better today. Jimmy Johnson was up there. Byron was up there. McMurray, like I said, was up there a little bit, so they ran a little bit better. The Fords definitely struggled, so what correlation can teams take from that? I don't know. That's their job, so I don't know. But it was good to see Chevy doing well. Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick round out the top 10, and then the rest of the results. TV coverage never really showed 10th on back. It was really just a race that focused mostly on the top 2 and the top 3 because they were always so close to each other and so far separate from the rest of the pack that it was really their show. And because Elliott was in that battle too, people wanted to watch Elliott. Elliott's the most popular guy, so TV coverage focuses on Elliott. And for the TV coverage, they did that radio-style broadcast. A lot of people didn't seem to like it. I don't really know why. I kind of enjoy it. Maybe, yes, Rick Allen or Jeff Burton or Jr., they're not accustomed to that style of broadcasting. But I think it worked fairly well. They were definitely very enthusiastic. They were always talking about Elliott closing, Kyle Busch closing. And I don't know the name of that MRN commentator. I feel really bad that I don't know his name. But he's the MRN commentator on the radio, and he seemed like he was in home. He knew what he was doing for the S's. So that was really cool to see. And I don't mind the commentating. I think NBC coverage has been by far better than Fox. They do go in a little bit more detail. I really appreciated the last couple of laps how Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt Jr. were consistently talking about the gaps and where drivers like Truex and Elliott were gaining and losing right when it was happening. Right when Truex loses time in the bus stop, bam, you hear Junior talk about it. Right when Elliott makes a mistake in turn 1, bam, you hear them talk about it. So that's something I really like to see from them more often, just talk about the racing. Give us detailed analysis about the racing. It will engage fans more. Don't talk casually like Fox does all the time. Detailed analysis. It really worked out today. I really appreciated it. Really good job at NBC. And that's it for Watkins Glen. I guess we have to talk about it just a little bit more. Elliott wins his first race. And hey, that was it. Might have been coming. He's been strong the last 2 weeks, but I definitely wasn't expecting it. And good job by Elliott. Good job by the entire 9 team and Hendrick Motorsports. Hopefully this gives them the jolt to get the entire program going again. I'm not necessarily shocked. I thought maybe the win would have come earlier, obviously, but not necessarily shocked. I've seen talent in Elliott for so long. It's not even surprising to me that he is able to win races under pressure against Truex. That's not surprising to me. I expect him to do it more, which is why he's hard on himself and which is why people really want him to win. The meme continued, and now the meme is dead. So there's a part of me that's sad. The meme is dead. So I don't know what meme that can go. We can't put that on anyone else now because Elliott was the most overhyped kind of guy. And now it's like we can't put it on Suarez. Like Suarez doesn't have the popularity as Elliott. He's not expected to win like Elliott. So I don't know what to do now. It makes me really upset. That's the one thing I can complain about. The meme is dead. But deep down inside, you guys know me. I've been a Jeff Gordon supporter all my life. That's my idol. And I've seen Elliott. I saw his talent, so I moved over to Elliott. I haven't supported him as hard as I do with Gordon because I loved Gordon. Like that was my guy when I was back in the day when I was like a little kid and then a kid and then a teenager and now I'm like going into my adulthood. So that was my guy. So it's nice to see Elliott win a race. It's nice to see for a lot of the fans. I know people maybe some people don't like Elliott. and they'll be kind of upset with all the overhyped coverage. But like I said earlier, it's desperate for NASCAR. They need him to do well. They need Chase Elliott to do well. They need Ryan Blaney to do well. They desperately need Bubba Wallace to be in a good ride and do well. If those guys do well, they will carry the sport, and the sport will get a short-term boost and maybe even a long-term boost, because then they can build their fan bases, and fans will watch for them, just like they did for Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Earnhardt Sr., Bill Elliott, Darrell Waltrip, Cale Yarborough, Bobby Allison. They all took time to build their fan bases and do what they did for them. And I could even throw guys like Carl Edwards in there, Tony Stewart, obviously Jimmy Johnson, but Johnson was hated for winning so much. Now he's kind of liked again. You know, it's funny how the world works. But yeah, I think I've gone on long enough now. Obviously, leave your comments down below what you thought of the race. I thought it was really good. I don't think you get much more out of a road course race. It had strategy with the stages, even though I still think stages should not really be in for the road course races, but it was there for the road course race. It did a fine job. The race did well. It organically kind of came together and was just a really, really solid race, even though the top three were separated by like 20 seconds. But really solid race. The winner's a new winner. Can't really complain much. If you guys like the video, make sure to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And next week, I think we go to Michigan. So, don't know how that race is going to be. But hopefully, I don't think it's going to live up to this one. But, hey, this one was pretty good. So, it's okay to not have the best of races next week. We'll see what happens on Michigan. I'll see you guys later. Comment down below. Peace out.